dad. Do it look like his son supposed to be taking your dad? I don't even feel right. Y'all hear this time? Oh, Tank don't pay his coach.
Tank has never been one to hold back, and after his draw with Lamont Roach, he's making it clear his camp needs a major shakeup. The decision to split from his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, already shocked fans. But now, word is spreading that even his new trainer, Barry Hunter, who worked with Tank before the Roach fight, might be out too. Considering how close Tank and Ford were, people are asking, is this the right move? Or is frustration clouding his judgment?
In the gym, the last one out the gym. Tank used to sit on the ring like this and watch me train him.
How old is he at this point?
He's like 7, 8.
Okay.
A lot of
Ford wasn't even in Tank's corner for the Roach fight, and that alone raised eyebrows. Now, Tank is making it clear he's heading in a new direction. He says it's time for Ford to focus on his family and younger fighters. To Tank, this is a new phase in his career, and he needs a team that can push him in a fresh way. He insists it's not personal, but Ford isn't convinced. This ain't about me, Ford reportedly told someone close to the situation. It's about Tank, and right now he's looking for someone to blame.
He been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood.
For Ford, this is about more than just boxing. He took Tank in as a kid, helped shape him into a champion, and now, just like that, he's being pushed aside. Fighters change things up all the time, but to Ford, this feels different, like a betrayal. He wonders if Tank really understands the role he played in his success. The Roach fight didn't go as planned, but was it really about the training? Or is there something deeper going on? Ford has his own opinion.
Calvin is Calvin, you know what I mean? I got Calvin tatted on me. Calvin ain't going nowhere. Y'all don't even know Calvin for CCO. I know Calvin, you know what I mean? Y'all don't know. Calvin's pops, he ain't going nowhere. I got that nigga tatted on me.
You lose focus, you start thinking you got all the answers. That's when things go left, Ford said, clearly frustrated. This fight didn't go his way, and now he's cleaning house. But you don't throw away family. That's what hurts the most. Ford never saw his role in Tank's life as just a job. He wasn't just there to hold mitts and strategize. He was there when Tank had nothing, pushing him through hard days, keeping him on track when distractions crept in. Now, after one rough night in the ring, all of that is being tossed aside.
Because of Tank's comment, because he was asked if Coach Calvin was in his corner, he said, we'll see.
Right, because it's nobody's business, but, you know, he didn't mean anything by that, you know?
Facts. There you go.
They forever family.
There you go. Enough said.
Barry Hunter, who stepped in to help Tank prepare for Roach, has been in the boxing game long enough to know that this happens. Fighters switch things up when they're not happy with results. But even he's surprised by how fast everything is changing. Tank's looking at everything around him, trying to figure out what went wrong, Hunter said, and right now it looks like he's thinking new trainers, new team, new everything. But is that really the answer? Hunter hasn't said much publicly, but his words suggest he sees what's coming. If Tank is truly cleaning house, Hunter may not be safe either. That's what makes this situation so unpredictable.
So everything is good with Calvin because it's the first
Yeah,
time
for
he's
sure.
not the head trainer in a while.
Yeah, for sure. Calvin, again, I said Calvin's pops, you know what I mean? He will always be around, you know what I mean? So,
If Tank is serious about completely revamping his camp, he'll have to build an entirely new team. And that's not always easy, especially for a fighter at his level. The truth is, the Roach fight wasn't supposed to be this tough. Tank was expected to dominate, to make a statement, to remind the world why he's one of the most dangerous fighters in the sport. Instead, he found himself in a fight that exposed weaknesses and raised questions. Did he underestimate Roach? Was his training off? Was something wrong in camp? Tank is searching for answers, and right now he seems to think the solution is a fresh start.
Stories gonna reveal themselves, you know. But again, that's how you burn bridges. Somebody said they say the true colors of a person is coming out, man. They can't stand it, you know. Calm is it. I don't like using that word calm, you know, but our Lord knows. He knows.
Ford, however, sees things differently. To him, Tank isn't looking at the real issue himself. You gotta ask, was it the trainer or was it the fighter? Ford said, because last time I checked, nobody threw a single punch that night except him. That's the real conflict. Ford believes Tank lost focus. Maybe after years of being told how great he is, he started thinking talent alone was enough. Maybe the hunger isn't what it used to be. Maybe this isn't about trainers at all, but about a fighter who needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. Hunter, while more reserved in his comments, seems to agree. Tank's at a point where he has to decide what kind of fighter he wants to be, and switching trainers isn't always the answer.
Better now, champ. Better now.
Sound good? Ready for Saturday?
Oh, excited, man.
That's oh, born ready. Huh? Oh, man, what can I say, man? Of course, Tank, somebody that's been in the gym since he was a little baby, so we real familiar with him. Camp was beautiful. Yeah.
But Tank isn't backing down. He's convinced that a change is necessary, that he needs a team fully focused on the future. There are already rumors that he's looking at high-profile trainers, coaches who have worked with multiple world champions. Names are being floated, and it's clear Tank wants to make a major change. Not everyone is convinced it's the right move. Some, in the boxing world, think he's making a mistake, cutting ties with the people who know him best just because things didn't go his way. Others see it differently, as a natural evolution. Great fighters make tough decisions, and sometimes that means leaving the past behind.
You got 5 judges. There's no way you ever gonna get a split. You know what I'm saying? Because it gotta always be one be that deciding factor. Because with 3, it's like majority. You know what I mean? So, all right,
the real question is, will this actually make Tank better, or is he making moves out of frustration? Ford has already made it clear he's not begging to be in Tank's corner. I did my job, he said. I took him from nothing to the top. What he does now, that's on him. He sees Tank as an adult who has to live with his decisions. Hunter, meanwhile, is watching from the sidelines, waiting to see what happens. He won't force himself into a situation where he's not wanted, but he also knows boxing is unpredictable. Tank could change his mind. Cooler heads could prevail. But as of now, it looks like Hunter is out too, leaving Tank in an interesting position.
Hey, y'all had me getting knocked out. To all this, I'm going to go back and look at y'all pages. I promise you. I promise you. I'm so glad the fake boxing media not here neither. Two-tone, showbiz.
Tank is making a bold bet on himself, surrounding himself with new voices. But if things don't go his way in the next fight, where does he go from there? Because once you start cutting ties, once you break bonds that took years to build, there's no going back. Ford, despite his frustration, isn't angry. He's disappointed. I just want him to see what he's doing, he said. Because at the end of the day, when all these new people come and go, who's really going to be there? That's the question Tank hasn't answered yet. And while people aren't talking about it much, this is a major shift for him. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach Jr. isn't wasting any time. After their controversial draw, he's pushing for a rematch as soon as possible.
What's going through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more.
Taking to social media, Roach called himself a pound-for-pound talent and made it clear he's ready to prove it again. With pressure from Roach growing, public demand increasing, and unresolved controversy from their first fight, a rematch is being discussed for May, sooner than expected. That makes things complicated for Tank. If he's serious about rebuilding his camp, this might not be the best time. A rematch on such short notice means quick adjustments. Overhauling his entire team now could backfire, creating more problems instead of fixing what went wrong.
No, I think Lamont's going to push more, but I think that even gives Tank a little bit more openings to maybe even finish the job better. But it goes to show you, I mean, hey, the hunger needs to be there. And I think Tank probably needed this too to kind of boost that up. It's a great fight. I look forward to it. I look forward to the rematch. God willing, it's done quick.
Roach is convinced he won the first fight, and he's bringing that confidence into the rematch talks. Even though I didn't get the result I deserved, I was part of a sold-out crowd that made history at the Barclays Center. Roach wrote on Instagram that he believes he proved he's a top-tier fighter against one of the sport's biggest names. Unlike Tank, Roach isn't looking to make big changes. He wants to build on what worked last time. His team is strong, and his camp is running smoothly. Meanwhile, Tank is facing major uncertainties, questioning everything from his preparation to his corner. He might think making changes is necessary, but the timing could be his biggest challenge.
Let's hear what he got to say right now.
Important question on everyone's mind. How close is the rematch? How big will it be? How close is it to getting done?
Very close. It's in my mind, it's a done deal, but there are formalities, but it's a done deal, and it's not far off.
If the rematch happens in May, Tank will have just 2 months to adjust to a new camp, assuming he even locks in a new team in time. That's not just risky, it's a gamble. Fighters usually need months to settle into a new system, adapt to a trainer's methods, and build trust for fight night. Tank won't have that luxury. He'll be heading into a high-stakes rematch while still figuring out what works and what doesn't in his new setup. That's a dangerous spot to be in, especially given how the first fight went. Roach proved he could push Tank in ways few others have.
Be a little more aggressive because he said that Tank couldn't punch, so he figured he could take Tank's punches. So I think he is going to try to be a little more aggressive, which could, like Dub said, can open him up to get hit with a big shot because you kept that left hand.
Roach didn't just survive. He won rounds, controlled the pace, and frustrated Tank. And then there was the controversial 9th round. When Tank took a knee and ran to his corner to have his face wiped, referee Steve Willis allowed the fight to continue instead of calling a knockdown. Fans and analysts questioned the decision for days. The New York State Athletic Commission later gave a weak explanation, blaming technical issues for their inability to review the moment in real time. That only fueled the controversy. For Roach, this rematch isn't just another fight, it's personal. He doesn't want to just run it back. He wants to finish what he started. Tank, on the other hand, has options. He doesn't need to take this fight. A matchup with Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney would bring in more money and give him time to restructure his team.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put it a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure. I'm talking about the rules, but
there's even been talk about a potential fight with Jake Paul, which would generate massive pay-per-view numbers. But there's also pride. Tank doesn't like how things ended with Roach. People are questioning him, and a fighter at his level doesn't just ignore that if he walks away from the rematch, some might see it as a sign of weakness, and that's not a label he's willing to wear. That could be the biggest reason he's pushing to make this fight happen as soon as possible. Barry Hunter, who was brought in to work with Tank before the Roach fight, is also in limbo. With Tank looking to revamp his camp, Hunter could be out just as quickly as he was brought in. That only adds to the uncertainty. If the rematch happens in May, who will actually be in Tank's corner?
The knee, that should have been a knockdown. I thought I should have won a competitive fight. I think I did what I needed to do necessary to bank the rounds. I'm just a little frustrated with the scorecards. I thought I should have won.
If both Calvin Ford and Barry Hunter are gone, Tank will step into the ring with a completely new team, one that's untested under pressure. Most fighters wouldn't take that risk, but Tank isn't most fighters. His career has been built on proving people wrong, showing up when the odds are against him. Maybe that's what he's counting on again. Maybe he believes his raw talent will be enough to carry him through. But Roach isn't backing down. He's hungrier than ever and feels like he's already shown he belongs at the top. He's pushing for the rematch now, before Tank can fully recover, before he can settle into a rhythm. It's a smart strategy, one that could shift the advantage in Roach's favor.
Can't even see who it is. Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
And that right there is why Gervonta Davis...
That's what makes this so dangerous for Tank. His camp is in flux, and now he's being rushed into a rematch he might not be ready for. If he wins, all doubts disappear, and he moves forward stronger than ever. But if he loses, it's a disaster that a loss to Roach wouldn't just be a setback, it would be devastating. It would shake his status as one of boxing's biggest stars and raise serious questions about whether changing his team was the right move. The pressure is all on him. Roach has nothing to lose and everything to gain. It's been a rough stretch for Tank Davis. What should have been a triumphant moment, a sold-out fight against Lamont Roach Jr., ended in controversy, leaving a mark on his undefeated record. The frustration from that night hasn't faded. Roach is still calling for a rematch, and fans are still debating whether Tank really deserved the result. Now, as talks for the rematch gain momentum and a possible May date is discussed, Tank is facing another issue, legal trouble. Instead of focusing solely on his next fight, Tank is back in court. A Baltimore judge recently spared him jail time after he admitted to violating his probation from a 2020 hit-and-run case that left 4 people injured. Instead of serving time, he received an 18-month probation extension and was ordered to pay a $10,000 donation. But even with that outcome, this latest legal issue only adds to the distractions surrounding the WBA lightweight champion. Now, the question is, how will this affect his rematch with Roach? And more importantly, is Tank mentally in the right place to make the necessary adjustments before stepping back into the ring?
I'm not sure, bro. I'm definitely sure. But hopefully we can get it before... Nah, it probably won't be this year.
Is that the one you want next?
Rematches are all about adjustments. If a fighter enters the second fight with the same game plan, history often repeats itself. That's why Roach is pushing for the rematch. He believes he already has the blueprint to beat Tank. But here's where things get complicated. If the fight happens in May, Tank will have just 2 months to make major changes to his camp. With everything else going on, that may not be enough time. Tank has never been the type to completely overhaul his camp after a tough fight. He's remained loyal to Calvin Ford, and his style has worked for him. But the Roach fight exposed weaknesses, particularly his tendency to start slow and only apply pressure in the later rounds, that if he wants to shut down the doubters and dominate the rematch, he might need a new approach. The real question is, can he afford to make those changes on such short notice?
Good skills. That's why he's here. I think he's 25-0 with 10 knockouts. So I think he's a A+ fighter.
Switching up sparring partners, refining his strategy, and improving conditioning. All of that takes time. 2 months might not be enough, especially with his legal distractions. Tank has already shown struggles with discipline outside the ring, and now when he needs absolute focus, he's dealing with court hearings and media scrutiny. The pattern is clear. First, the controversial fight with Roach. Then, the unexpected split with Calvin Ford. Now, legal trouble is creeping back in. If Tank was hoping for a smooth path into the biggest fights of his career, this is the exact opposite. Even without the legal issues, jumping straight into a rematch with Roach might not be the smartest move. Fighters need time to process what went wrong, but Tank isn't getting that time. Roach, on the other hand, is treating this rematch as the biggest opportunity of his life. He's been in camp sharpening his skills, analyzing every moment of the first fight. He knows exactly what he needs to improve. Meanwhile, Tank has been juggling court cases, probation violations, and career decisions without Mayweather's backing. Underestimating Roach again could cost him, this time with his first official loss. If Tank truly wants to maximize his career, he may need to slow things down. A rushed rematch could backfire. Taking a few extra months to regroup, fine-tune his camp, and settle his legal issues wouldn't be a bad idea. That if he fights in May, he has to be all in, no distractions, no courtroom visits, no last-minute changes. Because if he steps into that ring unprepared, Roach won't let him off the hook this time. How do you see this playing out? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.